All right. Hi, and welcome to the next webinar in our Plantae webinar series. My name is Jason Padilla, and I'm your technical host for today's webinar. Next slide, please. This webinar is brought to you today by Plantae, the open online community for plant scientists powered by the American Society of Plant Biologists. I'd like to give a special thank you to our ASPB members who are attending today's webinar. Your ASPB membership dues help support make this webinar possible. For any of you who have not yet joined ASPB, you can join today using the discount code %10 to receive a 10% discount on your membership registration. ASPB members get access to this webinar and many other resources, and you can learn more about all those resources and opportunities by visiting aspb.org. Next slide, please. This webinar is recorded, and we have had so many other great, awesome webinars. So if you're looking for more great content, you can check out the Plantae YouTube channel, and you can find all those exciting talks, such as this one. Next slide, please. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items to make sure that you get the most out of your attendance today. If you are experiencing technical issues, please let us know about those by using the chat box, or you can email me at jpadilla@aspb.org. If you have questions for our guest speakers, please add them to the Zoom Q&A section. Our moderators will be sharing them with our presenter. If you have trouble connecting or need to leave the webinar early, know that, again, this is recorded and you can watch them on our Plantae YouTube channel. So make sure you follow so you can stay tuned and stay connected with all the great contents that are on our YouTube channel. With that said, now I want to turn the floor over to our moderators, who are our Plantae fellows, who will facilitate today's conversation. Without further ado, take it away, Plantae fellows.
Next slide. So hello again, everyone. We are excited that you're joining us today for this month's webinar. My name is Nathaniel Oragon, and as already advertised, the webinar for today is focused on grant funding and finding outside collaborators. Now, we know this topic is a topic that resonates with researchers at every career stage because we know that impactful science depends not only on innovative ideas, but also on the funding and collaborations needed to bring those ideas to life. And as we already know, securing funding for research is becoming more difficult than ever before. And securing grants like the ERC grant is a major milestone for many plant scientists. But the road to securing this grant is somewhat challenging. So for this webinar today, we have two leading plant scientists who will be sharing their experiences from different perspectives. Our two speakers will clearly highlight what makes a strong grant proposal, how to develop ambitious research ideas, the role of collaboration in building a successful research program, how to prepare for the interview, and some common pitfalls to avoid. Now, whether you're preparing for your first grant application or looking to strengthen your funding strategy, we hope that you leave today's webinar with practical insight that you can apply in your own research journey. Now, as you already see also on the screen, you see the webinar outline. We're going to have our speakers and moderator introductions. We're going to have the speaker talks. We're going to have panel discussion and also question and answer. So as the webinar is going on, we encourage you to already put your question and answer in the Q&A section box. Next slide. So for our speakers, we have Dr. Paolo Treusini from the Institute of Plant Sciences, St. Anna School of Advanced Studies in Italy. We also have Dr. Vinay Shukla from the University of Nottingham, UK. And then for our moderators, we have Emma Holme. Next slide. Emma Holme, who is a PhD student at the Institute of Plant Sciences of St. Anna School of Advanced Studies in Italy. We also have Adrian Gonzalez, who is a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Nottingham. Myself, Nathaniel, and then Jehed Ahmed, who is also a postdoctoral researcher at École Polytechnique in France. So with that, we would like to dive deep into the webinar now, and then I'll invite Emma, who's going to introduce the first speaker.
Next slide. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you all again for joining this seminar today. It's a pleasure for me to introduce the first speaker of this event, Dr. Paolo Triozzi. Paolo is a tenure-track researcher at the Institute of Plant Sciences of Scuola Sant'Anna in Pisa, Italy. But before arriving in Pisa, Paolo earned his PhD in Spain at the University of Madrid, and then he moved to Florida for his postdoc. I won't go into too much detail about Paolo's career path because today he will tell us more about his academic journey and his current research. So, Paolo, thank you again for accepting our invitation to share your story with us today, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Emma. Can you hear me, everyone? Okay, you can see my presentation here. Okay, thank you, Emma, for your kind introduction, and also thank you to all the organizers to organize this fantastic webinar, and I hope my experience can be useful for the people who are listening. So let me introduce briefly myself. As Emma introduced, my name is Paolo Triozzi, and I'm currently working as an assistant professor in plant physiology at the Institute of Plant Science at the Sant'Anna School of Advanced Studies in Pisa, Italy. My scientific journey, my modest career started already 10 years ago when I started working as a PhD student at the Polytechnical University of Madrid in the lab of Mariano Peraze and Isabella Iona, working on photoperiodic and circadian control of poplar growth dormancy cycle. This was the main research topic of my PhD project. In 2019, after finishing my PhD, I joined the group of Matthias Kirst at the University of Florida in Gainesville to work on an ambitious project aimed to engineer nodule organogenesis in non-nodulating plant species. And there, I also had the opportunity to work with state-of-art technologies that at that time were emerging, such as single-cell transcriptomics. In 2022, I received a 3-year postdoctoral fellowship from the Spanish government to explore the role of oxygen dynamics in plant development, with a particular focus on shoot development. And this was a joint project between the Polytechnical University of Madrid and the Sant'Anna School. And this is how I arrived in Pisa. And since 2024, I got my current position as assistant professor, and I'm still continue working on this research topic related to oxygen dynamics and the control of plant growth. So as I said, I work with different research topics, and during this experience, I learned something about chronobiology. So I work with circadian rhythms and their involvement for controlling tree seasonality. During my first postdoc, I had the opportunity to also explore cytokinin synthesis, these important phytohormones, and signaling during nodule development in legumes, which are these lateral root organs that are required to establish symbiosis with rhizobia in the soil to fix nitrogen. At the same time, in parallel, I also developed protocols for isolation of single cells to explore shoot apical development in poplar and nodule formation in Medicago through single-cell transcriptomics. And more recently, I developed some interesting tools based on luminescence reporter to perform in vivo plant imaging of low oxygen responses. And most of my current research interests are mainly related with this topic. I'm working on spatiotemporal control of diurnal plant growth by oxygen dynamics, with a particular focus on leaf growth and development. And recently, I also started a new research line to explore how low oxygen sensing and signaling is occurring in the different cell types of different organs through single-cell transcriptomics. And I'm also get interested in chemical genetics for identification of bioactive molecules that can help plants to cope with abiotic and bioacoustic stresses. Of course, all these activities that I'm performing are carried out at the plant lab. This is a very heterogeneous lab with different PhD students, postdoc, and senior researcher, which make this place a very stimulating environment and a good place to develop your research project. And here I will drop some contact info in case you need to get in touch. So I will stop here, and I will leave time for questions regarding looking for fundings, and I can share my experience so far how I'm trying to get some funding to establish my own group. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Paolo.
Stop my presentation here.
Thank you, Paolo, for your presentation. And now I have the pleasure to invite our second speaker, which is Vinay Shukla. Vinay has been working in several countries in Europe, and recently he is a group leader and an ERC starting grant holder, so he has a lot of experience applying for funding across different European institutions, and he is a really astonishing researcher. And thank you, Vinay, for accepting the invitation to be here, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian, for this very kind introduction, and also for inviting me to join this webinar. I think this was an excellent idea to share our thoughts of applying for different funding bodies. As my experience is fresh, probably I'll be the most useful at the moment. But before that, I will just share my scientific journey briefly. So hello everyone, my name is Vinay Shukla. After my master's, I actually started as an industrial researcher in a crop improvement lab. And my time there also made me realize that I actually was missing the academic environment and wanted to go back. And I decided to do that by joining the same institute that Paolo is at the moment, actually, Scuola Sant'Anna of Advanced Studies, back in 2014. The major discovery that was made during my doctoral research was the fact that even when plants are growing in aerobic conditions, they have certain parts of the plant body that are hypoxic, such as lateral root meristems. And this is not simply a byproduct of a growth which is constrained in space. It is actually a phenomena that helps plant regulate its development, and the hypoxic niche that forms in the meristem has a very defined role in regulating development. Since I was very interested in working on roots, I then moved to Geneva for my first postdoc. And here I explored a totally new development in roots, and this was the formation of the nutrient barrier by suberin deposition. And my work here identified a set of molecular regulators which are essential for proper formation of this barrier. During this time, I started picking some ideas that I wanted to explore on my own, and then I moved to Oxford with the hope to apply for independent fellowships, which did not work out that well at the time. So I anyway joined the group and started working on some new ideas, such as synthetic approaches to transfer mammalian oxygen sensors into plants. Why would we do that? Well, it helped us answer two important questions. First, why plant oxygen sensing evolved in the way it did. And second, it also allowed us to develop orthogonal biosensors for oxygen sensing in plants. During this time, I also started working and developing some new ideas that I wanted to explore. And with that, we applied for a funding, the BBSRC Response Mode grant, where I was listed as a co-investigator to explore how the mechanoperception is important for flooding tolerance in plants. And we got that funding, which was a relief because it allowed me to have some more time to actually go back to my original interest, which was working on how roots are influenced by oxygen availability. And during this time, I could develop my proposal for ERC starting grant, and thankfully that was funded, so I could actually establish my own group in 2026 in Nottingham, which is one of the best places to work on roots. And here I came with the idea to explore my interest of understanding how oxygen signaling is actually being manipulated in soil and internally in the root systems, and asked three fundamental questions through this project: how poor the oxygen supply really is in soil, how this affects the root development, and how roots perceive and respond to it. Now, looking at this journey, it seems like everything fell into place, except it did not. So what I also wanted to share is how I failed on this path. So during my time, when I joined the first postdoc, I applied for EMBO fellowships, the postdoctoral fellowship. It did not work out. I also applied for Marie Curie, and that did not work out. When I joined the second postdoc, I applied for Marie Curie twice, and I did not get it again. I then tried for independent fellowships like Gladstone Fellow or Discovery Fellow. That did not work out either. And during the time of my second postdoc and as a co-investigator, I also applied for roughly 25 faculty or group leader positions, and none of them worked out. And that's why the grant as a co-investigator was a big relief, because that kind of paved the path for me to then land my own independent research grant through ERC starting grant, and allowed me to establish my own group, the Root Restoration Group in Nottingham. So the idea I wanted to share is that probably persistence is the key if you want to lead a career in academic environment. And yes, I will finish here and I'll pass it back to Atrium.
So thank you very much, Paolo and Binoy, for your wonderful presentation and talking about your impressive career. And now we will go a little bit deeper on about the grant funding than the topic of the webinar. So targeting this, I will ask you some questions. So we will followed by a discussion, and then to the end we will take some questions from the audiences, okay, from the Q&A session. So I will start the discussion with, for example, with Paolo. So I will ask a kind of a broad question so you can answer according to your experience. So what advice actually you would give to the early career researcher who actually struggling to define their own research or unique research niche actually?
Okay, so, well, this is difficult answer to, I mean, difficult question to answer, but from my experience, and also from what I also learned by BNI presentation, is that your research unique niche emerge gradually during your career. So it takes time. It takes time, and probably you have to pursue different biological questions that at the end allow you to define what you like the most, and also give you a level of experience to define a high risk, high gain project, which is what this ERC funding, for example, are looking for. So this will be my advice, to try to be out of the comfort zone. Don't stay always in the same place. You should try to have mobility, stay in different labs, learn different techniques, and try to have good output in terms of research, so manuscript and so on. because at the end, this is what reviewers and evaluators, when you have a proposal, will evaluate. Don't know if Vinay maybe can complement
so
this.
I have a different question for the Vinay, but if you wanted to add some, so if you...
I think it's okay. I mean, this will be my...
Okay, cool. So for you, Binay, I have a question for you. Like it kind of you can say is a broad question, but you can answer based on your experience. So how did you develop your scientific vision, for example, and how you identify that you will work in this topic and actually to coming in a shape that you are ready for the starting grant? How long it take to come in that stage to, for example, to a mature idea for a ERC grant?
So I think I would echo what Paulo mentioned during his answer, that scientific vision is something that you don't develop when you sit down to write a proposal. It is something that you to develop during your years of experience from your PhD, from your postdocs, etc. Like in my case, when I started working on my PhD, what was rather prevalent in the field was exploring how exogenous or abiotic stress conditions, which are limiting oxygen supply, are affecting root growth or plant growth in general. So I thought if I wanted to do something, if I wanted to carve a niche for myself, I had to explore something new. Something that was more challenging was actually understanding how internal oxygen gradients in plant body can actually be affecting their development, which is a harder thing to study, because how do you study a gas signal in soil, in roots? So bigger the challenge, bigger the opportunity, I would say. And this is probably what excited me. I knew this was going to be difficult, but there were questions. This fundamental question actually made it clear for me where I want to go with my scientific vision. And once that question was clear, then the proposal is actually follows a natural development. So I would say that, yeah, just trying to follow what we are doing anyway, a bit with more curiosity, try to read a bit more outside your field, and then letting the science shape the vision rather than the funding call.
Okay, cool. So as both of you actually, probably both of you can answer this one. Like for example, so both of you have the experience to write the ERC grant actually. So based on this, for example, we know that is a kind of a in the ERC is expecting something kind of a very highly ambitious project. So how you actually transform your research idea into a ERC narratives actually, because and there, if for example in several objectives there are probably distinct, but there should be well connected rather than several independent projects. So how you deal with these things when you write the proposal? So
you can go first, Vinay.
Go and then Bina can talk about if you want to go.
Okay, I go first. I think you learn by doing that. Because there is always a first time, and in my case, I was never pretty sure that my project was the ERC level. So this is something that you are never sure about that. Maybe when you get at the interview stage, you might be a little bit sure that they evaluate that project ambitious and potentially an ERC. But it always starts with fundamental questions and huge gap in knowledge. Okay, so what ERC is looking for is ambitious project with state-of-art technologies, with a unique research expertise. You have to distinguish yourself from your former PI, and you need a good CV and essentially fundamental question. This is what and I think if an idea sounds a bit impossible, it might be a good idea for an ERC. And how you translate this idea in different work packages, this is something that, well, I try, of course, to have very interconnected work packages, but at the same time, they cannot, so your first work package, for example, cannot kill the second one. Okay, so they have to be interdependent, but they have also give you, it doesn't matter which is the output, it should be always a good output for the project. Okay, so this is something that you have to take care.
And Binay, you wanted to add? Please.
Yeah, pretty much everything that Paulo mentioned. Only thing I would like to answer, because you mentioned sometimes you talk to people and they say that it has to be high risk, high gain, and it has to be widely out there. So when I started working on my proposal, I also was trying to introduce elements forcefully to make it so that it will actually be picked. And at certain point, I kind of gave up because then it was not sitting well in this set of objectives, because it did look like it was forced just to make it sound cool then. So what I did, as I mentioned already during my presentation, I followed just the most fundamental questions. What is the scale of the problem? How does it affect the plant, and how plant responds to it? Each of them are important in themselves, and the answer from each kind of feeds into the other objectives. So that's how it looks like a continuous idea rather than a three different dimension of the same problem.
Okay, cool. So I just follow up question of this one, like for example, so how important are the preliminary result, and how much preliminary experiment or the data you should have for this kind of proposal? Or it is a good idea to have a lot of preliminary data, or you have nothing? Okay.
So if it is, can I go ahead, Paulo?
Go.
Yeah.
Go, yes.
So it's kind of like a balancing act. You need to have the foundation strong. If your idea is challenging the field of research, it needs to be backed by, of course, enough initial data that it does sound important to explore, but also not too risky that probably it's not feasible. So I think you, as someone who's working on something for years, knows what will be the obvious skeptical reviewer question, and you need to at least answer them with your initial data. But also you need to see that it should not look that you probably have finished working on this project and you are just using the data to apply for a grant. So you need to find a balance between those two things.
Okay. And Paulo, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, so essentially is that what I was trying to do with preliminary data was to support this, well, what we can say crazy idea, because it looked like it's more feasible, okay, to explore, because we have data that support this fundamental idea, the core idea of the ERC, but at the same time, they cannot kill the project. So if you have enough data and you already solved the problem, why we need to give you money? Okay, so this is what I think also when I meant. So you have to find a good balance, also they have to be appropriate. So the thing is showing data that actually don't support the core idea. So they need to be appropriate data, and if you are forcing and just putting something, some results that might be, but they are actually suggesting also something else. The ERC reviewer will exactly, so they will spot the problem, and then this can be an issue for the whole project. So they need to be so a good balance and also appropriate for the question you are pursuing. Yeah.
Okay, so next question could be also for the both, but you can go one by one. Like, for example, if we talk about the timeline of the application process for specifically for the like ERC starting grant, for example, I know that recently it's opening, but maybe lots of people is working, so it could be useful for them. So what do you think that when you begin your application actually, and what do you suggest the people that how long before you should start the writing and getting feedback from the colleagues and other things? So, Binoy, you can go ahead, and then Paulo, if you wanted to add.
Yeah, so I think, sorry?
Yes,
Okay.
we are hearing.
Yeah, so I think as you said, the deadline for starting grants are normally in September to October timeframe. And when do you start with the writing? It depends a lot on where you are with the clarity of the ideas and the objectives that you want to explore. In my case, as I showed, that I had a version, or let's say a part of the proposal written down because I was applying for several different things. So I had some ideas already written down, and I just needed to essentially enlarge the scale of the problem to make it to the ERC scale. So I started roughly a few months before. What we definitely need to keep in mind is, I think at certain point, if we discuss the host institute, we can also talk about it. But the selection process to be able to apply for ERC starts many months before. Like for the September call, the universities have internal selection process that happens, I think, in January or February. So you need to be active way before the actual deadline to be able to find the right host and then develop your proposal, get it reviewed enough times that it is ready for the final submission. So it can definitely take 6 months to 9 months in the working.
Okay, so however, you already mentioned, because I am planning to ask you this question a bit later, but you already mentioned about the host institute. So I can now you can supplement this one, like based on what criteria do you normally select any the host institute actually, and what normally when they started the selection process, or they have any pre-selection process or not? Okay, so you can mention about this.
So yeah, choosing a host institute, of course, is very important decision, because this is where you are going to be. You need to be really sure if this is the place that you want to work in future. And it is not necessarily always about the prestige of the university, but rather what is the best scientific and practical fit for the project that you are writing. So different criteria, like what is the quality of the research environment in the place that you want to apply with, if they have the right access to facilities and expertise that you think can help your proposal, how strong fit it is for the proposed science, and quite important also, if the institute have a real experience of supporting ERC fellows in the past. So if you pick the right host, it will be a very easy job to justify why this is the only place that you want to work with, and not that this is another department where this can be carried out as well. When I was looking for a host, I knew I wanted to work on roots, and I could see that in UK, Nottingham had the best facilities and expertise to support this, and that's why I chose Nottingham as a host.
Okay. And Paulo, you wanted to add something about the timeline or his host institute?
Yeah, so, well, I can add something about how you start to prepare a proposal. And as also Vinay mentioned before, you don't start to prepare when the open call, because probably it's too late. So the idea is something that emerge gradually. Okay, so probably when the open call, you just sit down and put all the pieces together, but your vision and your idea is already there, and probably is already there because, as Vinay mentioned, you already failed by winning some other grants and funding. So couple of months, 2 months and a half are not enough to develop an idea and then put everything together in RC style. So probably this is an advice that I will give to people that are thinking to submit. So half of the work of the job is to have a clear idea and then try to put all the pieces together in those 2 months. And also about the institute, for example, in my case, when I wrote the proposal, it was easier than Vinay because I had a tenure track position. So my idea was developed within the same institute during the last 2 years. So all the technologies I was looking for were here. So this is how I choose the institution and also Sant'Anna for what I want to develop is a very nice institute with all the technology that I needed for developing the project I submitted. So this was the reason, but as Vinay said, I mean, this is a key part, choosing the place where you want to implement the project should be carefully chosen. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So now I have a question for the Binay. For this, I will ask about the feedback of your proposal mainly, but who did you ask for the feedback for your proposal specifically, and what kind of feedback do you think really was helpful for you? And for the feedback, actually, who actually did this actually for you? And Binay, you are muted. Could you unmute it, please?
Sorry, there was some noise in the background. Yeah, so I think feedback is the most important because as a postdoc or as an early career researcher, you are unsure about many different things when it comes to starting for grants, and getting feedback is the only way you can learn. And you can get feedback at every different stage, not just the proposal writing, but also when you are developing the idea or when you are going for the interview for the fellowship. And what I did was intentionally asking it from all the different kinds of people, people who are close to my field of research and also people who are actually far from it, because everyone catches something different. And for instance, if I was asking my mentors, they could check if the scientific ambition or the question is big enough or not. I also passed my proposal to my colleagues who could read if it is clear enough for them to read. And as I said, also someone who is outside the field who can see if the reader is not getting lost in the jargon and actually is able to follow the stream of ideas. Because if they cannot follow, then definitely the panel with outside expertise will not be able to follow. So that helped a lot to change things in time to be able to make it accessible for every reviewer that it was sent out to be reviewed. So yeah, the advice is that ask feedback as frequently as possible and choose people from different backgrounds so they can help on different aspects.
Okay, cool. So now actually I can go to Paulo about the budgeting in ERC, because I know it's the most difficult part, I think, because you need to think about a 5 year of budgeting. So can you tell us a little bit more about how did you build up your ERC budget actually, and for in case of next 5 years actually?
Yeah, so yeah. Can you hear me? Yes. So
yes.
Actually, this is, as you said, was a very tough task because we, even as a postdocs, we are used to take care about us, right? About ourselves, and that's it. Probably one of the worst thing you can do is leave the budget at the end. Because then you have to go back and adjust the questions and task, and also the experiment you had in mind, because you have no budget for that. Because most of, like 50%, I would say, maybe Vinay can also add something about this, but even more than 50% of the total budget is for personnel. Okay, so of course, if you have crazy time course, expensive reagent, and so on for your experiment, and then you don't have budget to hire people, then you have to go back and adjust the implementation of the project. So one of the advice I can give to people who are listening is to have always in mind who is gonna perform what, and which kind of expertise you need. Maybe a postdoc, a more experienced person can perform something difficult that is harder in your project, and you can have PhD working on more feasible task and so on. And also, if you are planning to buy reagents, always think about extra budget. So what happens if I need 10,000 for an experiment, 10,000 euro, and I ask for 10,000 euro and something goes wrong, then you run out of money, right? So also always think also about extra budget. And at the end, you put all the pieces together and you define the best budget you can do.
Okay, so now for this question, we can stop here because we are running out of time. So I can go now shortly with the Binay. So about the interview phases for example. So in that case, for example, initially your project is super nice. Probably the reviewer found it very interesting. So you will go for the interview. So can you tell us a little bit more about what actually happened during the interview time actually? And then you can add also that how you prepare for your interviews. Do you do the mock with your colleagues, friends, or maybe boss, the previous boss? Okay, so go ahead.
Yes. So the interview stage, that is the second stage, is probably takes as much work as it does during your proposal writing, because now your idea has been picked, but also many others who have excellent ideas, and now the plan is to actually sell your proposal as good as possible, so then it can succeed for the next stage. So normally you are informed at least a couple of months in advance that you are going to have the interview, and now by this time you have already invested a year of your time while working on the proposal and preparing for this. So it is like 2 months are not necessarily enough for you to organize all the training that you want to do. The ERC likes to do it, for instance, on WebEx. So you try to train yourself also for a different setup. Normally, what you do for the mock panels is the host institute helps you with this. They have some internal reviewers who can read and appear for the mock panels, and you can also suggest some people that you think are going to be actually crucial, that you think are going to ask you the tough questions that can actually help you prepare for the final interview.
Okay,
When
cool.
it comes to the performance, you can read as much. There is also enough material from ERC on YouTube to show how to prepare for the actual interview. There are also many tricks to make sure that you actually look and come across confident, and because at this point everyone's idea is good, and how you actually propose it on the day is what makes the difference.
And in case of ERC panel, actually choose for example, so you are going in which ERC panel that you will choose, or it will be automatic? Can you explain about us a little bit?
Yeah, no, you choose it, and you choose it very early, and this is something that you should actually decide when you are writing the proposal, because so I went for LS9 because I could see where my project was leading. It would fit the description of LS9, and you try to it's essentially try to also make it so that it does look like the right fit for the panel. Otherwise, there are chances that it won't be picked up because they just don't seem it doesn't seem a right fit for the panel.
Okay, that's cool. So now I will, from the interview section, I can ask another question, like during the review, what is called interview process, do you think the reviewer really, how the important to have a recent published paper? So do you think is just preprint of any good quality of preprint, or just is enough, or you need a really published paper? So what reviewer actually prefer?
I guess, Paulo, do you want to take it? I guess you had some
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I can go. So I think it's important. So what I would avoid is to have preprint in your proposal that you submit, because I don't know how this will be evaluated unless you don't have enough publication to reach the 10 selected publication. Then I would use also preprint. But in the interview stage, it might be useful to show, especially if you are a first or last author, and you are in the process or in the peer review process, and still in the publication process, to show that you are independent and this is part of your own idea. So this is.
Okay, so for the discussion session, we're only 2 minutes left. So I can ask you general question for all of you, both of you actually. So you can both of you answer shortly. Like if you give a piece of advice to the early career researcher who is now probably writing a ERC grant, or probably he will write in 1 or 2 years, what would be your advice?
You can go, Vinay.
Vinay.
You go first.
Yeah, I guess kind of summary of everything we mentioned today, that start early, as there is it can't be early enough. So try to start chipping away. There are different sets of problems that people can make a list of here. How do we approach budget? How do you know how many people you will need? How do you actually find the research question? So you can make a list of those problems and start working towards them. And once you have something, some clarity of the research question that you want to lead on, then you try to see how you can find the right help, and you talk to right people. Like when it was time for me to start working on this, I spoke to many people who have already been through this process, because only they can tell you. And even they will tell you their own experiences. So take it always with a grain of salt, because their experiences may not necessarily be true for what will happen in future. So a lot of clutter is also around that you will need to shift through before you can actually find your own clarity of mind of what the proposal should be, what are the research questions, how you will approach it, what is the right place. If you can find the right host institute, start approaching, start making connections, because it does seem like already a hard job to apply for these grants, but you will be surprised how hard it is also to crack the internal selection process. So you will need to make sure that you are in the right place at the right time to be able to actually apply. So yeah, as you said, couple of years is the right time to get started, that you can actually have everything in the best shape possible before you hit the submit button.
Okay, that's good. So Paulo, I think it's okay because now we have several questions from the audience. So I will take some questions from the audience in Q&A session. I have lots of questions, but I will ask some of you because we don't have much more time. So for first question, actually, both of you, you can take any one of you who feel comfortable. So I will read. So as postdoc, looking for faculty position or permanent jobs looks a lot of work and energy, but at the same time, we still need to maintain the productivity and publish papers. How do you balance between these two demands? So go ahead, if you.
I can go ahead, maybe, Paulo.
Okay,
Paulo,
so I go. Okay, yes. So yes. So this is something that we always face. All of them we face this You work a lot, and essentially you try to manage everything. And what is important in this case, you need, especially when you are at the beginning of your career, you need a really PI that supports you, and also being in a very productive environment help you to get paper published while you are also doing something else. So while you are having this is something that of course for the CV it needs to be considered. It's not enough to have just one paper. You have to work on different projects, as I said, be successful also in different places, and also have an environment, a PI that supports you, especially in the first years of your career, during your first years of postdoc. This is, I think, it is very important.
Okay, so it's okay. Binay, you wanted to add something, or I will go for the second question?
No, yeah, pretty much everything
Okay.
Paulo mentioned is fine.
Okay, so in the second question, actually, so how did you find the collaborator for your grant or funding application?
I can take it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, the collaborators are, well, it was easier to find collaborators because I was already collaborating with some of the people that I mentioned. And if I was not collaborating with them, I wrote them an email, and most of the people will be happy to have a chat. I also, like, there is a part in my proposal which was about mathematical modeling, and this is something that was totally new for me. I wrote an email to one of the professors who was happy to have a chat. Their time is precious, so you need to make sure that you are ready with your ideas to discuss with them, that they see worth investing time in this. So it is both ways. You can also rely on the people you actually trust, and you can discuss with them if there is an expertise they can help with, but also you can, of course, drop an email. And that in the field of research there are many people, so if one doesn't work, then you go to the next one.
There is another very short question. I think you can answer shortly. Is there any time, what is called age limit to apply for starting grant?
No, there isn't.
Okay. So, but there have some what is called your experience limit. Okay.
Yeah, there is so now the new by the new rule, you can apply up to 10 years after your PhD. So there is no age limit, but even after that, there is no real limit, because after that you can apply for consolidatory grant if you are more experienced.
Yeah, true. So, and then another question, I'm just reading, so you can just follow. I'm prepared. Okay, so how much is the preliminary data then can remove from the novelty at the same time demonstrated the capacity of the delivering despite of the risks? I'm not sure I understand properly, but probably he's thinking about like a preliminary data and how much you need to show and how much you don't need to be shown to keep your idea is novel.
Yeah, I think some of this we covered earlier, that, yeah, you need to find a balance between what is enough, that not the obvious criticism is raised by the reviewers, but it should be enough to answer the most obvious questions that come to their mind when they read the proposal. So yeah, you kind of get you try to get feedback from different people, especially from your field of research, so they can pick apart if there is anything missing or if they need something more. And you can only do that by getting feedback on that.
Okay, cool. So then another question, I don't know, probably because as Binay is managing their own group, so he asking about kind of be officially starting your own lab. Did you think about how you wanted to manage and run your lab? So that means how you manage your team actually. So
yeah, I mean, there are different kinds of training that you can go through. Like when I was in Oxford, there were opportunities to go through leadership courses to know how you can actually manage a group, or how you lead a group. And then from as an early career researcher, you also get to, of course, be in a bigger research environment, which helps you understand or pick up things, how you can manage your group. But again, this is also something that you learn on the job. So once you start, there are still a lot of curveballs that you need to get through when you are starting off.
Okay, so now another question for so how you think that the first author paper, how important it is, but probably we discuss, but you can talk about a little bit first author paper and the last author paper. So how much important both of them? Okay, like first as for the starting grant, how much important do you have a first author paper? So like this.
So maybe I can, yeah, well, they are definitely important. And is not only the position, so the first and last author, but also the which kind of paper, right? This is not always true, but both me and Vinay can confirm this because we went through this process. ERC is looking for groundbreaking research. So also the quality of your research is important. So you can show independence by showing first and last author paper, but you have to also show quality in terms of output of research. So both are important. So this is why as soon as you realize that you have to work on an ambitious project that can eventually lead to good publication, this is key.
Okay, so I think probably last question, probably very, sorry. Okay.
Just to add to that, I mean, for instance, in my case, I did not have a corresponding author paper, but what they're looking for is some sign of independence. So since I had a grant as a co-investigator, probably that was enough for them to think that, okay, the person has shown independence. And then if you don't have a corresponding author paper, then probably it outweighs that part. So there are different ways that you can explore and show independence to the panel.
And there are very short question, a different kind of question actually. So someone asked that he has, after PhD, he go to the industry for 5 years. Now he wanted to come to the academia. Like for example, he wanted to start to the postdoc. And do you think it is still feasible to stay in academia in this type of career?
So I would say yes, of course, why not? I mean, how competitive they can be with grants and everything, that's a different question altogether. But so I ended up applying for grants because that was the only way I could see that I could actually land a group leader position where I could actually work. But there are, of course, faculty positions. And if they think they are excellent scientists and if they do excellent science, they can, of course, go on to become a group leader or a faculty in any university. So there are enough opportunities.
So this is the last question. So how much does experience as a reviewer help in the application, for example, in the ERC grant? That means how much the reviewer actually can help you. Like, I don't know, is the reviewer of the original reviewer or you're kind of the people who are give to you for the feedback? So I'm not sure, but maybe feedback, he mean the feedback who give the feedback.
Yeah, I guess the feedback, if it is about the reviewers who are giving you feedback before the applications, it's everything. You essentially they are making or breaking your proposal, and if you need people who can actually read it through and break it apart, so you can build it so strong that no one else can do that. And once it's submitted and if it goes to the other reviewers,
Okay, so now its time is over. So I'll thank you again for actually accepting our invitation and come here and actually share your very interesting information and actually insights. So it will be very useful for the early career researcher. So I will thank you again, both of you. So very good luck for your future. And I also thanks to all the moderator and for help actually to help us. Actually, we do together to organize this webinar. So it will be very good research for the plant science community. Thank you very much. So I will give the floor to Jason. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. So I just want to echo the thanks that Jahed already shared, but thank you all for joining today. Thank you for our ASP member. Thank you for attendees. And above all, thank you for our speakers and moderators for your time, energy, and effort that you put forward in this wonderful conversation. Again, this webinar is recorded. We'll post this on our YouTube channel. So if you have colleagues, friends, or anyone that you know that would benefit from this conversation, once it's posted, you can find them on YouTube channel and you can feel free to share it. But with that said, I hope everyone have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in our next webinar. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you
very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah.